And I'm so excited to introduce you to Baker. Baker, in addition to being an amazing father, we got to meet his son the other day when we came in to do tech. He is also works on green infrastructure. He's part of the Office of Watershed Protection in the Department of Watershed Management. And the green infrastructure program, as we'll see today, ranges everything from a small planter to giant projects, such as you could go and visit Cook Park this weekend with us. He has a master's in natural resources from Warnell School of Forestry, which I always wanted to go to. That's so fun. And he's on the board of the Georgia Native Plant Society. And he lives in Grant Park and has done some really beautiful work on his own space. So with that, I'm going to switch really quick. All right, Baker.
Okay. All right. How's my sound? Good? Okay, cool. All right. My name is Baker Owens. Thanks for joining. I know some of you, but hopefully this presentation will be a little bit of, we have I think a wide range of audience from people who know a lot, including someone who works for one of our contractors who knows more than I do. So hopefully this won't be too bored for you, but we can review. And then some people who may not know very much, and I hope this can be a great intro for you. Please don't hesitate with questions. I'll do my best. But a little bit more about me. Elizabeth noted that my degree is from the Warnell School of Forestry and Natural Resources at UGA. Been a long time active with the Native Plant Society. I'm the construction program manager in the Office of Watershed Protection for the Department of Watershed Management. And this is my yard. When I moved in, that picture on the bottom left, basically everything you're looking at is wisteria. Uh, I mean, it's unbelievable. If anyone remembers the original Jumanji, it was like that. I mean, wisteria vines as big as your thigh, like just, and now it looks much different. Native plants are still coming in at all times, but it's getting there. Um, so the thrust of my job is around green infrastructure. I have a little bit of hand in some other parts of our office, but most of my job and most of the presentation today will be about our green infrastructure program. In essence, the green infrastructure is using or mimicking the natural environment in the built environment to slow, sink, and spread stormwater runoff. We do this through a variety of methods. Bioretention, essentially a rain garden, stormwater ponds and wetlands, like Cook Park or historic Fourth Ward Park, if you're familiar with those. Permeable pavers, we have a lot of those just near here, the Trees Atlanta offices. If you go the half mile north of here, Atlanta has some of the largest permeable paver installations in the country in the Mechanicsville area. The green roof at City Hall is a great example of a green roof. We've just replanted that and it looks gorgeous. And then rainwater harvesting is a little smaller scale than what we would do, but I strongly encourage you in your own homes to do this if you are able. So in 2018, Atlanta put together a green infrastructure strategic action plan, which has a lot of info in it. And if you want to know more than you could possibly imagine, feel free to check it out. It's on the web, easy to identify, easy to find. The goal is 225 million gallons reduction annually. There's several benefits to green infrastructure on the environmental side. Our water quality is improved, wildlife habitat, floodplain restoration. There's also social and economic benefits. So it really bringing bringing the natural environment, quote unquote, natural environment into the urban environment is I love it, and this is one of the best ways to do it. We have a lot of partners in the Green Infrastructure Task Force. You may recognize all of those names. We partner with all of these people on different the closeness of collaboration, but may change. But we partner with all these groups, so they're very helpful in the work we're doing. Oh wait, I wanted to mention the stormwater ordinance. So that was passed in 2013, and the gist of that is for private development to control the first inch of stormwater runoff. And since that passed, more than 5,000 green infrastructure projects have been permitted and saved more than 1 billion gallons of stormwater from going straight into the Chattahoochee River, and not great water quality for the river, not great water quality for the Apalachicola Bay. So that was a huge deal. A lot of our projects are in Atlanta parks. So Parks and Recreation is one of our closest partners. This gives you a little bit of an idea of the various types of green infrastructure. So you can, all of this is some form of slowing, sinking, or spreading. The green roof, our most common project that we have is probably B or D there. The ones that you might see the most of, and the ones that I in my day-to-day work interact with the most, are these stormwater planters. We have them all over the place. Some of them are small, half the size of this room, or half the size of the room you may be sitting in at home. Some of them are quite large. There's in West Manor Park, which is on the west side. It's kind of a stormwater planter along the street, but it's also kind of in a park, and it's a fairly large project. But essentially, the water from the street, there's a curb cut, and all the runoff is directed into these planters, and the plants slow the water down, soak it up, filter it, and so you don't have the sediment just streaming into the storm drain. The permeable pavers is essentially the same thing. Periodically, the sediment will build up in the pavers, and then we have to go, and there's like a special vacuum that sucks that out. It's pretty cool. But the amount of sediment is just crazy. I'll come back to that in a few minutes when we get to talking about historic Fourth Ward Park. But I don't know if anyone knows about you could go ahead, ask a question.
Oh, I was gonna ask, like, what do you guys do with the recoverable sediment, like when you in permanent favor?
Most of the time, that it cannot be like certified as reusable sediment. So most of the time it's hauled to as part of a landfill somewhere. So I don't know how much folks know about historical farming practices. This wasn't something I anticipated, but I start talking about sediment and I can't help it. But for, I don't know, hundreds of years, we monocultured everything and it was horrible and all our topsoil's gone. So that's why we have part of why we have such an erosion problem. Georgia has red clay, yes, but we used to have topsoil on top of it and we just washed it all down the drain. So we're still dealing with those effects 100 years later. So this is our most common, well, not most common. I just talked about the planters, but this is another one that we often use. This is a dare park really near here. You could walk to this after my presentation if you like, have a picnic. That is basically right where this picture is taken is a runoff at the feet of where this sign is. And all the stormwater, the sheet flow from the grass that's moving through this park runs into this rain garden and is soaked up by these plants and helps to stop the rest of this field from flooding and just sediment buildup in the field. And it's a really nice little pollinator garden. Some projects that we have current and upcoming, although most of these are a couple of these are already done, but I invite folks to check it out. These are near here. the City Hall green roof, which I already mentioned. Rosa Burney is near here, Rosa Burney Park. Um, I'll have a couple pictures of that in a second. And over the next couple years, where the permeable paver replacement is a long process, but that's also in the works. So this is Rosa Burney. On the left is what it looks like now. Even letting it just flow over grass is better than letting it flow over street. Um, so better to have that than a channelized pipe or tunnel. And you get some sinking, you get some soaking there. But ultimately, our goal is to have it look more like the thing on the right. Now, conceptual rendering versus what it's going to look like in practice. Please don't hold me to that, but that's the idea. In an ideal world, we can get something close. So to give you a little bit of the botany side of it, on the left, that little buzz cut is turf grass. And so the roots of that turf grass go about 3 inches. All these other plants are native plants to, some of them might not actually, this is just a cool graphic that I pulled. Some of these might not actually be native to our area, although I think they all are. But a lot of these you may recognize. There's coneflower on here, there's blazing star, little blue stem. All of these roots are orders of magnitude more effective for water soaking and erosion control than the 2 to 3 inches of turf grass on the left.
And we're gonna go for, just talk loud.
I can repeat it. Go ahead.
Do people, I've been wondering this for a long time, because Atlanta does have beautiful plantings. Do people steal them and pick them?
That is, she asked if people steal our plants, and the answer is unfortunately yes. It's unclear. We don't know how often this happens. Plants, they could dry up. If we're in a drought period, who knows? They could disappear in just a few days from getting too crispy. Or they might just disappear from getting yoinked for whatever reason. It does happen. It depends on the percentage of, she asked how often we replant. Depends on the percentage of loss. If 90% of the plants are still there, we'll just let it roll. If it's 80%, maybe we'll fill a gap. If it starts to be, it's half gone, we'll replant. And it just depends from site to site whether we redo the whole thing or we fill a hole. Sometimes we want to refresh the soil that's in there. It's gotten compacted, or you've had lots of poor quality soils wash in from the street, so it's not as good for the plants that are there. So we may refresh the soil, but yeah. These are some classic native plant memes that I like. And on the left, Beltline Arboretum fans, which Trees Atlanta controls, you may be familiar with this. Those, depending on where you live, you may not be able to keep it like that, but the evening primrose, lots of other, all these things are popular finch food and hummingbird food on the primrose. The finches eat the seed of that in the winter. And then for anyone who is concerned about, oh, I just can't keep plants alive, just keep planting more plants. Eventually they'll be alive. Yeah. So also one thing that we struggle with, both in the native plant world and also having when the grasses on our projects turn brown in the winter, and part of our education efforts is these are not weeds and they're not just dead. They will come back, and they are serving a function even in winter. So a public education component, which all of you are probably also helping to spread awareness of this kind of thing is important. One thing about invasives that I like to stress for people who may be trying to do some of this at home, don't immediately rip it out. I mean, unless you really know what you're looking at, but you can learn some of the most common invasives. Chaff flower is one that is very common in residential properties now, and it's brutal. And then stilt grass, but good luck with the stilt grass. I don't know what to tell you. But so like this Philadelphia flea is one of my favorites. It just puts little blooms, and a lot of people, before it gets to that stage, they just think it's a weed and yoink it. The evening primrose too is one of my favorites. And it gets so leggy and gross, but it's so awesome. It just gets huge, and the hummingbirds are all over it at 6 in the morning. It's cool. So this is Rosa Burney. This is one that we just redid. I don't actually have a picture of redone, so I challenge you to go see it in person. But this is very close to us. These are the Mountain Mint is one that I really like to use because it spreads via seed and also rhizome. So we've recently redone that. And you can see, all the water from this is draining down into that little stone area, and all those plants are slowing it down as it gets there. This is the City Hall green roof. And it's not a huge project, but a drainage area of 3,100 square feet is fairly significant. This is in Mechanicsville. I don't know if anyone notices here, but this is Liriope, which we're slowly going through and getting rid of, but it's a stubborn plant itself. So this is a demonstration. This is a little graphic of the permeable pavers and how they work. So there's just layers of filter, and then eventually it gets down to a pipe with holes in it, and the water flows out that way, so it doesn't build up, but all your sediment and everything is filtered out before it gets there. And we have, Brett, 6 miles, something like that. Yeah. And so it's one of the largest in the country. We have lots of green infrastructure in parks, so I challenge you when you're going around, keep an eye out for little rain gardens and stuff that looks like this, and it very well may be one of our projects. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, I was just thinking sport. That's all the permeable pavers there. Is that y'all's project as well?
Very likely, yes. Peoplestown permeable pavers. Yes, I'm sure it is. Yeah, yeah. Okay, so one of our largest projects that we've just refinished doing is historic Fourth Ward Park. Hope if you're not familiar with that, it's beautiful. You should go check it out. It is the pond's about 2 acres. I think actually the park is bigger than 17 acres now, because I think that just includes from Abernathy down to Ponce, but or McGill, yeah. But it drains 350-acre watershed, and daylight's a section of Clear Creek that probably hadn't seen daylight in, at least since Sears built that. And so that was about 100 years. This is what it looked like before. And then, yeah, this is the before, or the before, after function. So that was a 4-inch rain event in 2017. And then 3 days later, slowly filters out. But like all this is caught, a ton of that sediment is kept out of the river, and then eventually it looks like that again. Now this was built in 2010, 2011, completed at 2011-ish. I'm not quite sure when the actual bottom of the pond was laid, but we dredged this over the winter, and for anyone that went by, you may have seen these giant bags that we were filling with the dredged material. We dredged out somewhere around 7,000 tons of sediment. So to give you an idea of the amount of sediment.
How deep?
We dredged out at least a foot from the whole thing, and in some areas up to 3 feet. Yeah.
There's no way to rehabilitate that sediment, it just has to go to the landfill? What would you?
Pretty much, yes.
I mean, that's a lot of dirt. Just wondering how long could it sit at the landfill and then be reusable, or is it just?
It might have like metal contamination and just gnarly stuff from runoff that you don't want to be planting in, or yeah.
So it can never be used
But lots of nutrients too.
Yeah.
again.
Okay.
This is another really big one. This is Rodney Cook Senior Park in historic Vine City. To give you an idea of where this is, you can see Mercedes-Benz in the background. This is an old map of Atlanta with the original creek running through there for folks who may not be familiar with the history, the development of Atlanta. The Eastern Continental Divide roughly runs kind of on the southeast side of this photo. And so those streams that are on the left side are running through what is now Cook Park and then off to Proctor Creek. And then we eventually covered that up, and it occasionally would cause horrific flooding. In 2002, there were about 200 homes in the area that got flooded completely. And this was a combined sewer at the time. And so you had backups of some gnarly business in people's homes. And as part of that, those homes were bought up and we developed Cook Park. So to give you an idea, and now it looks like this. And it drains. It's very similar in process to historic Fourth Ward Park. The dredging for this will not. This park was opened in 2019, I think. Yeah. So this is a much newer than Fourth Ward. I think so that we'll be dredging this one sooner rather than later because that amount at historic Fourth Ward Park is overwhelming. But we've just replanted this one also, so please go by and check it out. To give you an idea of the amount of water that comes in there, like that's the bridge. So you can see you walk under, I don't know how high that bridge is, 14 feet. So yeah. And these are some of the plants that we used. This is an ECL planting plan at Castro Landscape, our great contractor. And these are some of the plants: cutleaf coneflower, swamp sunflower. All these are very hardy, and hopefully the park won't just become cutleaf coneflower park, because I have cutleaf coneflower and it'll take over, man, but we'll see. Yeah, so some of the other scenes from the park, hopefully, we love all animals, but the geese, if you go to historic Fourth Ward Park, we put in a lot of river oats. Man, the geese just ravaged it. So we've had a little bit of geese at Cook Park. There was a nest that I was keeping track of here, and then we got that crazy 3 inches of rain in an hour, and the nest was gone. But yeah, great wildlife habitat at all these places. We have a question from the audience.
Hey, do you mind going back to the ground cover selections on the last slide?
Yeah.
Do you think slides will this be part of what we'll get if we look at the YouTube later?
No, that thing, the whole too, but it must be like.
Okay, but it'll be the slide.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm trying to take notes, but you'll be that.
Yeah. I'm trying to hustle along so we don't, yeah. Some of this is, so this slide that I pulled from the plan include seed here. We ended up going with plugs instead of seed, which as it turns out was a good thing because shortly after we would have put the seed in, we got 2 inches, 3 inches of rain. And no matter what precautions you take, if you get 3 inches of rain over a bunch of seed you just put down, odds are it's not going to be great. In addition to the green infrastructure work that my office does, we also have the greenway management, and I do a little bit with this team, but this is my colleague Hunter Howell. He is a trained herpetologist. Do not go picking up snapping turtles. But this was at McDaniel Park, and a good illustration of the type of wildlife we have here in Atlanta. This is about It's less than 2 miles from here, and you can see the size of that snapping turtle. It is. And you can't see it from here, but if you went upstream about 100 yards from here, you're at the interstate. This creek flows out of the interstate just south of here. They manage nearly 200 properties, and ultimately it's 2,000 acres. Some of that is privately owned easements that we also manage, and I help out with this team a little bit. We do a lot of invasive species management on all our sites. That's some English ivy there. Years ago, if anyone that's been with Trees Atlanta a long time, do y'all remember the English ivy kills trees signs that would be around? Yeah. And like 15 years ago, I'd see those signs and think, huh. And then eventually you're like, oh, wow, yeah, yeah. But some people still haven't got the message, but we're working on it. Right. English ivy is a big one. Kudzu, obviously, the wisteria, from site to site, it can be different which one is the worst, but yeah. My office also does a lot of wildlife monitoring. So we have the Green Infrastructure Program in the Office of Watershed Protection. We also have the Greenways Program, and we have the Natural Resources section. And this is the Natural Resources section, NRS. They are mostly 2 teams of 2 that walk every mile of stream in Atlanta. And so their job is to monitor inflows and outflows of the streams and the water quality, and check for any inflows that aren't supposed to be there. And they also lead our wildlife monitoring program, part of which is these wood duck boxes. And the wood duck is actually the most common duck in Georgia, more so than the mallard. But in Atlanta, we've yucked up some of their habitat, and so I don't think we see them as much. But we monitor all the wildlife on our sites. We have a series of trail cams this isn't from a trail cam. This is one of our stream team members that took this picture of a beaver right in front of him. Yeah. And I think we have way more beavers than we can possibly, than we would have thought in Atlanta. I monitor a trail cam that is kind of near Morningside Nature Preserve, for those of you who might be familiar with that. This video did still make it in. Oh, it's because, yeah, Colin, hopefully this isn't going to wreck the function of the video, but you can see this beaver. This beaver has some cataract issues. That's why it's not super already absolutely freaked. But this is this is an old guy. And yeah. But that's just an awesome animal in the way it swims. You can see its tail. Yeah. So cool. This is one of our trail cams that I monitor that's near the Morningside Nature Preserve. So absolutely, we have bobcats in the city of Atlanta. occasionally I would see these reports on Nextdoor of someone saying they saw a bobcat, and inevitably I'd be like, that's a house cat. But no, it may very well have been a bobcat. So who knows? And I've gotten this picture of, I don't know if it's this bobcat or not, but the trail cam has caught a bobcat several times. So they are definitely here and moving through. So this camera is near Morningside. So from Morningside, there's a corridor along South Fork Peachtree Creek that goes up to Zonalite Park and kind of into the Emory area. So you have a long green corridor that wildlife. Correct. Yeah.
Oh, I'm trying to get how the money works. That's owned by the city, or you guys, it's somebody's private land?
A little of both. Some of that is owned by the city. Some of it is owned by Parks and Rec. Some of it's owned WM. Some of it is privately owned. Some of it goes into Cab County. Correct. It's a lot of that's in the floodplain, and so you're limited on how much development you could do there in the first place. Yeah. But so it is somewhat protected just by being in the floodplain.
Towards the end, because people can't hear or on Zoom, and we want to make sure we get through all of it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm almost done, so there's going to be time for questions. 12:40, right? I'm nailing it. Yeah, all right. So we also have way more otters than I ever would have realized. This is at that same site, but we work with Friends of Mosley Park, and they're doing a restoration on the creek there, and they've had otters in Mosley Park, which for those of you who don't know, that is just off I-20 in the middle of the city, and they had otters there. And so where won't animals be? I think the sky's the limit. This was one that I was pretty surprised about. Perhaps I shouldn't have been, but this is an American mink. I think we have more mink than we realized, but they only come out. Actually, this was at 7:28 a.m., which is odd, but it was New Year's Eve, so it's yeah. But normally they're coming out at 2 or 3 in the morning. But I would not have thought we had American mink, but we do. And someone else, oh, where was that? Someone else reported American mink just recently in, I forget, but they're out there. So if you're out, this is near Morningside Nature Preserve. Yeah. These are all from the same. Some of this is just that natural corridor. Some of this is also the beaver dam providing habitat. So right to that bobcat is walking over bits of the beaver dam that is being built on this stretch of creek. So to that bobcat's left is a developing pond, although just recently when we had that kind of crazy storm on Saturday or Sunday, that dam blew out. So I don't know if the beaver, I think he will rebuild. He's shocked me in the past, but yeah, the amount of wildlife we have is unbelievable in the urban environment. So happy to be doing what we can to encourage and protect what's out there. This is some of the easy ways that you can get involved with the work my office does. These are mostly managed by the Natural Resources team. The stream does the Adopt a Stream, which is a volunteer program, and so that's a statewide program, but my office helps manage the Atlanta part of it. And then Adopt a Drain is somewhat similar, but preventing don't just blow your leaves out into the street would be great. That not only clogs the drains, but then it ultimately will put sediment and stuff into our stormwater, which we're trying to avoid. So if anyone's interested in volunteering, please let me know. And you can reach me at my email there. Richard is my first name. When you fill out a city form to get hired, they will not accept that you get called by your middle name. So that's my email. But now I welcome questions. Don't make them too difficult. Okay, I think, oh, we're gonna pass the microphone around.
So when the city installed the infrastructure on a green roof, did you have to fortify or the roof? So what do you have
That's a
to
good
do?
question.
Yeah.
So, yes, when you're doing a green roof, there were there were ideas that we rejected because we were concerned about the structural integrity. Um, but so you have to keep it, pretty simple. There's about 4 to 6 of um, like yeah, lightweight soil, kind of engineered soil that is mostly supporting. And the other thing is your plant selection is crazy because it's just baking in an oven. Yeah, lots of sedum, some other things. I'll be interested actually to see how it goes because it's all of this is uh, people that have actual degrees in horticulture may disagree, but my degree is not in horticulture, so I can say this. But plant stuff is definitely science. There's also an art to it, and it is just it is fascinating to see what works here and what works there when those two should be the same, but they're not for some whatever reason. Um, and the green roof is going to be interesting to see how that goes. So, yeah.
Yeah, my question was, I know you showed the diagram of like how far the root systems go for
Oh,
certain
yeah.
species, but I guess what certain factors like are you looking for to measure how much water that like one flower garden or rain garden you called it can
Mhm.
absorb like I guess
Yeah, we do not necessarily we are not necessarily we let's see, how do I answer this? Yeah, well, the uptake there are like some estimates per plant of the like average uptake of a mature coneflower versus a mature goldenrod. So we can have those numbers. Most importantly for what we're doing is to try to make sure the plants are going to survive. You have some biodiversity there. So you don't just plant like we don't just have all big blue stem that has 10-foot roots. Yeah. We don't want to end up with accidental monoculture. So we're trying to get a mix of plants and make sure they're alive. So that's the most important thing. Yeah.
My question is, have native plants always been part of like the installation process, or has it like been non-native
Yeah.
ornamental plants in the past?
Yeah.
And when did that
So,
change?
yeah, good question. So that slide with the liriope that was on it, native plants were not always the plant of choice in the past. But that's changed over the last 10 years. It used to just be put whatever in that's going to survive and soak up some water and hold the soil. And now it's still that, but plant. And I mean, liriope will, of course, survive. But yeah, it's that's offset by its destructive behavior in other ways.
So is it based on like aesthetic values or ecological values on like how you choose
Yeah.
the plant? Like now.
A little of both.
Okay.
I mean, we want it to be attractive for the neighborhood. We want to be good neighbors. We want the residents who live around or visit the parks to appreciate the aesthetics of what we're doing, but also understand the ecosystem services and the eco value that we're putting in. So a little of both. Yeah. Yeah. And there's a community engagement component to that for sure, because like when a coneflower dies in the winter, not dies, when a coneflower goes dormant in the winter, it just looks like a burnt stick.
Right.
And people will be like, take that out of there. It's dead. But no, it'll come back and it'll have some seeds on it that some finches or somebody might eat in the winter, and it'll come back in March and be a beautiful plant again. Yeah.
So my question is along those lines. How closely do you work with communities when you're installing green infrastructure? Is there like education and outreach? And what's the response to the projects?
Yeah. Definitely. We have a lot of community outreach. We're doing a project near here in Pittman Park, and we've done lots of community meetings. The more community input, the better. It would be a good problem to have if we had too much community input. I like
Yeah.
I yeah. Um, I wish more people were involved. And so we do our best to reach out to the friends of groups, the neighborhood associations, community leaders who we know. And so we're trying to always develop that, both so that they're aware of why this is going in, but also, you get that buy-in from the neighborhood and they can build support across whatever front you may need. And, just the idea um, of the importance of native plants and the stormwater management. And the native plants that you may be putting in at your house is also part, is ultimately a part of this stormwater management, because your runoff from your house is also running into our storm drains. So that's, theoretically, that's what that ordinance was that we passed in 2013. Yeah.
Okay, I want to ask about the stitch. Will you guys be involved in that? And do you think that's going to really happen? Because I'm very excited about it. I saw the preliminary
Yeah.
drawings and I was like, I'm there, but
Yeah. It looks amazing. Yeah. It's too early for me to say whether my office would be involved or not. So I don't know, but yeah, let's cross our fingers.
there's not a transportation.
You mean yeah, I imagine if when that happens, I shouldn't say that, someone's gonna dig this up, this city guy. If that were to happen, I think every department in the city would probably need to be heavily involved. Yeah.
Hey, so I know you guys do a lot of like workshops and stuff for the community, like the rain barrel workshops and stuff you guys do. What are some other like workshops or learning opportunities or volunteer events or just like stuff to teach homeowners how to manage their own stormwater?
Good question. Okay, so I'll go back to this. So the Adopt a Stream is a way that we can do some training we do some things so you know where you're doing when you go to the Adopt a Stream. We also do periodic, maybe at least quarterly stream cleanups, where similar to what the Riverkeeper does or other groups do, some stream cleanups where we put on our waders or our hip boots and get out into the stream. Or actually, much less exciting, but more importantly, I suppose, is to get on the bank, because all the so much trash ends up on the bank. It's not as exciting as walking in the stream, but we do stream cleanups, and so you could also reach out to me, and I can get you to make sure that you're on the list to be involved in those. We put out. I help with our newsletter. Our newsletter goes out also quarterly, and our spring newsletter went out in May. Our summer newsletter will go out in August. And so you can get on the list for that, and that will have more info about our stream cleanups and other stuff like that. You can go to our website, and I'm sure you're already on the list. You don't think so? You can go to our website and sign up there. The best thing to do would be to Google Atlanta green infrastructure, and that will take you to, because the Department of Watershed Management website also includes the Office of Linear Infrastructure Services and whatever else. But if you Google Atlanta green infrastructure watershed management, you'll get it. Yeah.
We have just a few questions from our audience on Zoom in the chat. The first one is from Hillary Wilson, and her question is, can you recommend plants for shade that can tolerate being wet and dry?
Yes. Beautyberry is a good one. It's real hardy and the birds love it. They get those beautiful berries on there. That would be a good one. I'd also say mountain mint is good because it does that, spreads with roots and seed.
Also, Virginia iris.
Yep.
Yeah, those like Virginia iris, those like shade and moist to like wet soils.
Yeah.
So that can be a good one as well.
Yeah. It is. So one of the things about a lot of our sites, not necessarily the ones on the streets because they're not going to flood to this level, but the plant selection is tricky because you have to have plants that can not only withstand a lot of moisture, but maybe withstand being underwater for some period of time and then drying out absolutely completely. And the plants that are able to do that, yeah, some invasive ones, but hopefully, river oats are great for that. River oats also is a good shade and super sunny and wet and dry. They're great. Yeah. And they get those beautiful wheat looking seed heads on there. And if you get a big stand of it and you run your fingers through it, it's so cool.
Well, thank you, Richard. We're going to go to the second question, which is from Anna C. And she asks, how is the 15 mil saved from great infrastructure calculated/estimated, referring to the old Fourth Ward slide?
Yeah. It's a little technical that predates me and is outside of my purview a little bit, but the gist of it is the savings of stormwater. We are keeping that stormwater from having to be treated later, which is more costly than doing an installation like this, and then it's working its magic on its own for years. Whereas otherwise, we would have to treat that stormwater before it runs to the river, and so that's the gist of it. As well as the savings from possible flooding that may happen if you don't have a basin like Fourth Ward. Yeah.
Thank you, Richard. We have a third question from our chat, and it's from Jill D. She asks, is the city planning on getting rid of the literally ropey in the tree planters?
Oh, that's funny. Was that based on the slide that I put up? I guess so. Yes. The answer is yes. But it takes some time. We're working on it. Yes. Short answer, yes. Boy, I really shouldn't have put that in there, but yeah.
Thank you, Richard. That was all of the questions from the chat. Any other questions?
Okay, one more.
The initial proposal for the Star Fourth Ward Park was $50 million. And then the second proposal was $35 million. So there was $15 million worth of savings right there.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
I do have one last question, and this one is just just a very casual one. I talk about this with my friends a lot about how maybe that there's not many female or fruit producing plants or trees that are planted in the city. And I was just wondering if why or if you could.
Okay, yes.
Yeah.
Well, I can talk a little bit about why on our side, and then I have some suggestions. First that comes to mind is my understanding is Trees Atlanta is doing a big propagation workshop And folks should, our attendee Jason in the room will be leading a fig propagation workshop, and figs are delicious, and y'all should sign up for that. My office, so there's a few different things. So we definitely plant a lot of trees and work closely with Trees Atlanta on finding space for trees. Some of our sites are like not conducive is not quite right, but we have to periodically go in and do some like soil like we have to go in and re-engineer the soil so that it's functioning the way we need it to on the runoff. And so that's not super conducive for tree planting. The fruit stuff, yeah, that's the like food producing trees. That's more of a Trees Atlanta question. Persimmons. I have a persimmon in my yard. We should plant more of those. I actually got the persimmon I got was from Trees Atlanta. But I think for stormwater runoff purposes and for the feasibility of maintenance and ongoing, the plants that we're working with now make the most sense. Yeah, yeah.
All right. Can everybody please thank Baker so much for all their work?